questions yesterday, we're going to do whatever we didn't do yesterday today. So your test is tomorrow on sections 5.1 through 5.3. So number 2, we have to put it in standard form, classify it by the degree, and by the number of terms. So how would we put this in standard form? It's already in standard form, so we have to classify it by the degree and number of terms. So what is the highest degree?
1.
The highest degree is 1. What do we classify something with the degree of 1? Linear. How many terms do we have? We have 2 terms. So what do we call something with 2 terms? Binomial. Awesome. So again, tomorrow for your test, I'm looking for these words, linear and binomial. You guys can use your notes. So make sure you have that little chart with all the words that classify with you. So number 4. How do we classify it, or how do we put it in standard form first? Number 4.
3k squared.
Negative 3k squared. What goes next? Minus 6k. And then last? Plus 6. Perfect. So we start with the highest degree and then just go in descending order after that. How do we classify this by the highest degree? What's our highest degree? 2. And what do we call something with the highest degree of 2? No. Binomial would be if there were 2 terms, but this is our degree is 2. Quadratic. So quadratic classifies something of a degree 2. Now how many terms do we have? We have 1, 2, 3. 3 terms. So what do we classify something with 3 terms? Trinomial. Perfect. All right, let's look at number 6. We are just describing the end behavior. So which term do we have to look at that tells us the end behavior? X to the 8th power. Is this positive or negative? Positive. So what's our right arrow going to do? Right arrow goes up. And then is it even or odd? It's even. So what's our left arrow going to do? Same direction, so up. So we have up and up. Let's look at number 8. Which term are we looking at here? Negative x to the 5th power. Is this positive or negative? Negative. So what's our right arrow going to do? Right arrow goes down. And is it even or odd? Odd. So are they going to go in the same direction or opposite direction? Opposite. So what's our left arrow going to do? Left arrow goes up. So we have up and down. Any questions from this section? All right, let's look at number 10. So we have to find the zeros and graph it. How do we find the zeros? So we set both pieces equal to 0. So negative x plus 1 is equal to 0, and x minus 4 is equal to 0. How would we solve for x in our first equation there? What should we do? We can subtract 1 on both sides, so negative x is equal to negative 1. And how do we get rid of that negative in front of the x? Not add. we can multiply or divide by -1. Multiplying and dividing would get you the same thing. So what's negative x divided by -1? Just x. And what's -1 divided by -1? 1. So that's one of our zeros. And then how do we solve for x in our second little equation? Add 4 on both sides. So we get x is equal to 4. So those are our two zeros. We need to put them on our graph. Do they go on the x-axis or the y-axis? The x-axis. They're x equal to, so they go on the x-axis. So we're going to go to the right to +4 and +1. So those are our 2 points. Now we need to see our end behavior of our graph. So how many x's do we have in our equation here? We have 2 x's. So this is an x² graph. Do any of them have a negative sign in front? Yep, so this is a negative x² graph. If it's negative, what's our right arrow going to do? Our right arrow goes down. And then what's our left arrow going to do? Same thing, because it's even. So we have down and down. So our left arrow goes out of the point farthest to the left. Our right arrow goes out of the point farthest to the right. And then we just connect the 2 dots. Any questions here? All right, we have one more graphing one. Number 11. How do we find our zeros? Awesome. Just got to set each little piece equal to 0. So how would we solve for x in our first equation? Subtract 5. So x is equal to? What? -5. What about our second equation? So what's x equal to? X is equal to +4. And then our third one? Awesome. X is equal to -2. So we got to put all of our points on our graph. We have -5, so we go to the left 5. We go to the left to -2, and then we go to the right to +4. How many x's do we have here? 3 x's, so it's an x³ graph. Are any of them, do they have a negative sign in front of the x in the equation? In front of the x? No. So there's like no negatives. It would be like a -x. So there's none. So it is a positive x³ graph. So if it's positive, what's our right arrow going to do? Right arrow goes up. And if it's odd, what's our left arrow going to do? Go down. So our left arrow goes out of the point farthest to the left. Our right arrow goes out of the point farthest to the right. What do we do in the middle? Connect the dots. So that's our graph. Any questions here? You guys good with this? All right, next page. Number 13, we have to factor with the sum of cubes. So we need to find what our a is and what our b is, and then just plug it into the formula. So if a cubed is equal to 64x cubed, what is a equal to? 4 what? So since it's x cubed, it would just be 4x. And then if b cubed is equal to 125, what's b equal to? 5. Perfect. So now we plug it in. So we start with a plus b. How would we write that? 4x plus 5. Then we have a squared.
A equals to 4x squared
So it's
or 16.
all of 4x is squared, so the 4 is squared and the x is squared. So this would be 16x squared. So just don't forget to square both the 4 and the x. Next, we have minus a times b.
4x plus 5. 20.
So 20x, perfect. And then plus b squared,
25 squared.
25. So this is our answer. Any questions here? So tomorrow when you have your notes for your test, make sure you have this sum of cubes formula. You want this in front of you. Because that way you just find your A, you find your B, and you plug it in. So let's look at 14. If A cubed is equal to 27x cubed, what's A equal to? 3 what? 3x, perfect. And if b cubed is equal to 8, what's b equal to? 2. So then we plug it in. We have a plus b first, so how do we write a plus b? 3x plus 2. Then we have a squared. Remember, it's this whole thing squared. So 3 gets squared and the x gets squared. So how do we write that? Awesome, 9x squared. Then minus a times b. So 3x times 2. How would we write that? 6x. And then plus b squared. 4. Awesome. Any questions on this section? All right, next one, factoring the difference of cubes. So here, it's the same formula, but the signs are different. So just keep that in mind when you're plugging it in. So if you're subtracting two perfect cubes, you're plugging it into a different formula. But we still need to find our a and our b. So if a cubed is equal to 64m cubed, what is a equal to? 4m, perfect. And if b cubed is equal to 27, what's b equal to? 3. So we plug it in. We start with a minus b this time. So how do we write that? 4m minus 3. And then we have a squared. 16m to the second power, perfect. Then plus a times b. So 4m times 3. So what's 4 times 3? 12. 12m. And then plus b squared, which is 9. Awesome. Any questions here? All right, we got one more just like it. Number 17. So if a cubed is equal to 1, what is a equal to? 1. And then if b cubed is equal to x cubed, what's b equal to? X. So then we start with a minus b. 1 minus x. And then a squared. And what's 1 to the second power? Just 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And then we have plus a times b. 1x. So we would just write that as x. And then plus b squared. X squared. Awesome. So any questions on this section? Factoring the difference of cubes? All right, last part. Factoring by grouping. This one's like the most fun, I think. So we group the first two, and we group the second two. What can we take out of our first group? What's in
X squared.
x squared? And what are we left with?
X minus 3.
Awesome, x minus 3. What can we take out of our second group
4.
for 19?
Oh. 3.
3. A positive 3 or a negative 3? Positive. All right, let's take out a positive 3. What are we left with when we take out a positive 3?
Negative x plus 3.
Negative x plus 3. Are the parentheses the same thing?
And then
Are the parentheses the same thing?
no what?
Are the parentheses the same?
Oh no, but you just divide negative x. And
So we want to take out a negative 3 here, because that would give us the same thing on the inside. So if we divided both of these by a negative 3, that would give us x minus 3. Now we have the same thing. So whenever you take out something that's not exactly the same, you might have to think, maybe I should take out something else. So you should take out a negative 3 here, because that'll give you the same things on the inside. So how would we write our answer? Awesome. X squared minus 3, then x minus 3. So whatever you took out on the outside, the x squared and the minus 3, goes in the first parentheses, and then whatever is in common between these two goes in the second parentheses. That's your answer. Any questions here? All right, number 20. Group the first two, group the second two. What can we take out of our first group?
x squared.
X squared. What are we left with?
X minus 3.
X minus 3. What can we take out of our second group?
Negative x.
Negative. Do both of the terms have an x in here?
Or negative 1.
Negative 1. So we're going to divide both these by negative 1, so we just flip their signs. So this is a positive x minus 3. Are the parentheses the same?
Yeah.
Yep, so we know we took out the right numbers. How would we write our answer?
X squared minus 1.
X squared minus 1 times
X negative 3.
x minus 3. Awesome.